Greetings, everybody. Welcome here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. It's Monday night. We're doing the Monday nights look back at a classic rock album. Classic rock album is something for me, anyways, that's older than 15 years. That is at least a 2, 1, or masterpiece album for me in my ranking system. And an album that I own, which is always good. I like to do the ones I own. I don't do the ones I don't until I actually get them. So we have, today we are going to do this album, Supertramp's Crisis, What Crisis? I really always like this album cover. I know it's kind of gray and dismal looking from a distance. Doesn't appear to be anything special. But if you look at it really, sorry, I'm going to put my glasses on. If you look at it really closely, you can see that it's basically a wasteland of trailers, factory, and garbage all over the place. And then you got this guy with a rug on the ground and his little table and his sun umbrella. And he's dressed for the sun like he's at the beach with all kinds of stuff, like he's out lying on the beach, but of course probably no beach in the area, so he's just decided to lie here in this wasteland. Yeah, and there's a picture of them at the beach here on the back. So yeah, I've always kind of liked this kind of silliness of this album. It's British humor, right? So this album was released in 1975 on the A&M record label. About 48 minutes long, which is kind of lengthy for a single album in that time period, for sure. It was recorded at A&M in LA, California, Rampart Studios and Scorpio Studios as well, and produced by Ken Scott and Supertramp. And appearing on this album, I'm going to read it right off the back of the album because it's set up, you don't get that much. So when you get it, you got to take advantage, right? So you got Roger Hodgson, vocals, guitars, and keyboards. Bob C. Benberg, drums and percussion. Dougie Thompson on bass. John Anthony Helliwell on wind instruments and vocals. And Richard or Ricky Davis on vocals and keyboards as well. Nice shot on the wall here. Good shot. Nice shot of the album. Give you that too. So this album was released, This album, like I said, was released in 1975. This is one of the four. I call them the four in a row that are really good, where they start with Crime of the Century and then go to, I think this one was the second one, then Even in the Quietest Moment, and they finish off with Breakfast in America. But this one I haven't done yet, so I thought I would. It definitely doesn't take a back seat to any of them. Maybe it takes a little bit of a back seat to the fame and the commercial success of some of the other albums, but music-wise, it's just as good, and I enjoy this album a lot. Have liked it. It doesn't have any of those kind of big radio staple songs on it, but has lots of good stuff on it. So it starts out with the song Easy Does It. This is Hodgson vocals, which are strong here. A bit of an oriental sound to this song. A little bit of that kind of feels like an oriental song when you listen to it. Catchy vocals and catchy beat on this track. I like this track a lot. It's one of my favorites on the album. The next song, Sister Moonshine, is probably my favorite on the album. Both Hodgson and Davies doing vocals here. Another catchy track. The acoustic guitar is very memorable, and the soloing is absolutely very catchy throughout this track. And it's probably my favorite track on the album. Next up, Ain't Nobody But Me. Heavy piano part, heavy, what they call, heavily sad part to the album as well. Davies is doing that bluesy vocal part that he does so well here. But again, some nice joint vocal parts on this song as well. Next one up, Soapbox Opera. This one's got some good vocal parts. A little bit of voices going on here. Some synthesizer and piano opening to the song, which catchy. You got a catchy but mild beat. melodic story with both singers singing, and Hodgson a little bit dominant on this track. The next song out, another really good one, Another Man's Woman. I love the piano opening that grows and becomes dominant throughout the song. It's got a kind of a chuggy part to it during the middle too. Not really sure how to describe it. Something like that. Yours Is No Disgrace, that kind of chugging along type feel. Davies is strong and fast-paced and catchy beat throughout this song. Next one's called Lady. This is another really catchy song on here, probably pretty close to my favorite on the album. They got about 5 or 6 songs that are over a 7 on this album, making this a strong album. Lady's one of them. Nice xylophone opening. I like that little xylophone part. Hodgson's vocals are catchy, upbeat, and this is like almost a poster song for Supertramp. Sounds so Supertrampish, as you might want to call it. Next up, Poor Boy. Davies, very bluesy piano, guitar, wind instruments throughout this track. A little bit of more of a bluesy feel to it, but a catchy, laid-back track overall. Next up, Just a Normal Day. So Just a Normal Day and Two of Us, which are the third last and the last song, aren't my favorite. They're probably the weakest 2 tracks on the album, in my opinion. This is a quiet, somber track. The vocals are slow and melodic. Then you get The Meaning, which is between the two, which is a good song, one of my favorites. Slow synthesizer keyboard part at the beginning, up-tempo. The bass is a little bit more dominant throughout this track. Hodgson is very emotional, very up-tempo part. This is a catchy, up-tempo, emotional track. One of their more emotional tracks, at least on this album anyways. And then you have Two of Us with that organ opening. This is also a more melodic track, but not one of the more catchy, more memorable tracks on the album. Yeah, so overall, this is a little bit more milder, a little less commercial sounding than Crime of the Century, and the same with Breakfast America, which eventually becomes the most commercial of them all. This one still there's lots of catchy stuff here. Very Supertrampish. I think Hodgson is strong on this album. Davies maybe not as strong as I like to hear from him. Maybe it might just been his choice of songs. There's a couple on here I don't mind by him, but I think Hodgson was a little more dominant here and really laid out that Supertramp sound throughout the album. Most of the songs here are catchy and good, but there's no big whopping radio-friendly song here like there is on the other albums. If you had to pick one to be on the radio, it would probably be Sister Moonshine. Anyways, excellent album. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Look Back at a Classic Rock Album featuring Supertramp's Crisis, What Crisis? If you did, please hit the like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. Any comments about the album, the group, what I've said, or any of that stuff, you can put in the comment section below. I'm a big boy now, so you don't have to be too nice to me if you don't want to. Anyways, I hope to see you again next week for another look back at another classic rock album. So have yourself a good evening, and hasta la vista.